Is Luffy a great main character? Was the original title for this video. But whilst looking at arguments as to why he wouldn't be a great main character, I quickly realised that my personal opinion is that he most definitely is. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining why Luffy is a great main character, so I hope you will stick around as I go through this. Now before I get started, make sure you leave a like on the video, as it really helps push my videos on YouTube that little bit more. And also, make sure you subscribe and hit bell notifications so you never miss out when I drop more content just like this. Lastly, if you like One Piece and discussing it with others just like yourself, make sure you check out the Void Century Club, in which I'll leave a link to in the description to this video. But back to Luffy. Monkey D Luffy is a main character like no other. Oda has set up our protagonist as a laid-back, fearless individual that simply lacks intelligence. But what is it about Luffy that makes us as readers or watchers become so attached to him? Is it the fact that as individuals we like to see a character we connect with and follow their journey as they get closer and closer to their goal? For me, I think there's more. One Piece is an extremely large world, where the line between good and bad varies, as for most people growing up, you can either be a civilian, a marine, or a pirate. And of course there's everything else in between, such as the revolutionaries and more, but from a high level view, these are your options. Luffy, however, influenced from a young age, became what would be considered the bad choice of them all, and chose to become a pirate. But what makes us adore him that much more is that following his journey, it's allowed us to learn that Luffy is not your typical pirate. I mean, he really goes above and beyond to help others. Luffy actually has the personality of a child, a naivety that a small part of us can all relate with, because not only have we all been there, but we all still become childlike in certain scenarios. However, Luffy is a bigger child than us all. He overeats, is easily amused, but the thing he seeks the most is an adventure. A journey free from any responsibilities or shielding, where he looks to become Pirate King, as it's his belief that the Pirate King is the most free person in the world. Now, I'm not sure if most of us can remember that time in life where we all just wanted to be free and go on an adventure with friends. Personally for me, it was going out to the park with friends with no idea as to what time I'd be back home. Those were really the good old days. And for those of you who can't remember that far, think about the love of wanting to go and travel, go on holiday and see other parts of the world that you've never seen before. You see, this is something we can all relate to Luffy with. In fact, the main difference is that Luffy's actually living that current dream right now. A life of no worries, just going out and having fun. And in fact, I'm sure I'm just one of many who really envies him. Now of course, this childlike character goes even further for Luffy, because as people say, if you really want to know the truth on something, ask a kid. Because they've got no issue at all telling you straight up with no regard about your feelings. You ever heard a kid say, "Why is your butt so big? Why is your hair so messy?" Or even sometimes just straight up saying, "No, I don't want to." And Luffy actually is the same. Think about his crew. How many times was he rejected and wouldn't take no for an answer? Or how about Charlos, a world noble that no one dared to upset, yet Luffy would punch. And if that is not enough to convince you, Luffy was so oblivious as to the danger of a Yonko that he would challenge a seasoned veteran of the seas, Big Mom, without fear whilst in Fishman Island. Luffy has been a character that breaks the barriers, challenging CP9 at Enies lobby, or getting caught and imprisoned and impaled down, and doing something that's never been done before by breaking out. I could honestly go on and on about the groundbreaking things Luffy has done, but what's the point? What am I really trying to say here? Well, you see, Luffy represents that rebellious part in all of us to defy authority, and here's an example. Have you ever thought about doing a chore, and then your mum or dad, or in fact anyone, just tells you to do it, and then all of a sudden you don't want to do it anymore? Well, to Luffy, it wouldn't matter, because he'd do whatever he likes. By the end of One Piece, Luffy's face should be in the One Piece dictionary for freedom, because he is the embodiment of it. In fact, the only thing he cares about outside of his freedom is the selfless child inside him that goes above and beyond for his nakama. Luffy would go to the ends of the world for his friends, and in fact just those that he cares about. Think about him fighting Arlong for Nami. I mean, he might have considered her a friend at that point, but I can't say it was actually replicated by Nami before this. But as they say, children are great judges of character, and this is something Luffy shares because he can very quickly judge whether someone is good or not. Luffy is great once he puts his mind to something, and this is most likely because he has a pure heart. And trust me, once he decides to do something, there's no stopping him. Unlike most, Luffy does not have bad intentions and is very easy to read. And although this is part of his brilliance, this sometimes can be his downfall, as he doesn't necessarily have a strategy. Let's think about his fights, particularly pre-time skip. Every battle we saw Luffy in was trial and error. We see Luffy take so much damage, only to learn through his experience to then overcome his opponent. And to be honest, this links in with this childlike character again. How many times do you fall over as a kid, graze your knee? How many times do you fall over as a kid, graze your knee, and get up and keep running? It's in his nature to not give up. In fact, Luffy's victories in battles haven't necessarily come from him being stronger than his opponents, but more of him working hard, taking more damage, and literally having a stronger will to win than his opponents. But just being a child can't be why Luffy is a great character, can it? It's funny because as I began researching for this video, I started watching videos and reading articles on what makes a great MC, and the general consensus I got, in a few simple words, was how a character changes over time. And Luffy has most definitely grown. The death of his brother Ace at Marineford was definitely a turning point. It was at this point that Luffy hit his first real hill on his journey, and this led him to go through formal training with the Dark King himself, Rayleigh, and it was actually another adult figure in Jinbei that brought to his attention that he still had people to live for. And these were his friends. Once again, something that as children we cherish very, very, very much. Luffy's growth has proved to be limitless. And speaking of limitless, we see the limitless innovative ways in which he uses his devil fruit to suit certain scenarios. And in fact, he always leaves us with no idea on how much more he can give. Kind of like when you see a really, really talented kid and everyone says he's got so much potential or she's got so much potential. How much do they actually have? No idea, but they can basically be whoever they want in the future. Lastly, Luffy's ability to attract others around him in order to join him might be his greatest ability. At Marineford, Oda uses Mihawk to tell us that the true power of Luffy was not his physical strength nor his devil fruit, but actually his power to make people his allies so easily, and that was the most fearsome power on the seas. And you see, doesn't that just link in with the innocence of a child? I mean, who hates kids? Is Luffy just becoming the most popular kid in the playground? The only time he really makes an enemy is when there's a clash of wills. You see, Luffy sometimes acts as the popular kid that stands up to the bullies that have an unpure heart. He just wants everyone to have the same happiness of freedom that he attains for himself. And ultimately, he ends up being the bully's bully. I guess to summarize, yes, Luffy is a child, but that's not what makes him great. There's so much more. There's the pure heart, the drive to stand up for what's right, supporting his friends, and standing up to authority. Luffy truly embodies free will. Oda has written Luffy as a child that doesn't want to grow up, and simply he doesn't have to, because 1, he's attaining the strength to not have to, and 2, he's surrounded himself with friends that make up for the skills he lacks. You see, to me, there's no such thing as a perfect main character. As a fan of many popular MCs, such as Goku, Naruto, Deku, and more, I believe that they all have their flaws, and Luffy is no different. Now, by no means am I saying one is better than the other, but I truly admire Luffy's ideals. To go against the status quo and to embrace the things that are important to you is something that Luffy teaches those he encounters, and something I believe we can all learn from. And if you're asking whether he's the best main character, well, that's something you must decide for yourself. But what I can say is that Luffy is most definitely great. And I guess that just about brings this video to an end. I really liked making this video, and if you liked anything I've had to say, make sure you leave a like on this video. I would also appreciate if you could all subscribe to the channel, as it really supports me too. And lastly, I'd really like to interact with more of you, so let me know if you think that Luffy is a great main character down in the comments. And I'll catch you in the next one. Safe.